Hey everyone, it's Alex, and I am finally here with my video for the winners of the 69th Emmy Awards, as well as my thoughts on them and my thoughts on the ceremony itself. I've been meaning to make this video for a long time. I know the Emmys were over a month ago, but unfortunately I just got sidetracked with other things and I just kept forgetting. And I've been vowing to myself to try to get these videos out on time, but it's hard for me to do just because I just make these videos for fun basically, and I'm not a professional YouTuber who makes YouTube videos for a living. I have a regular job, and when there's kind of a lull in award show related news like there is now, I don't feel as motivated to make the videos in a timely manner. Usually when it's like November to February, when all sorts of award show news comes out like every other day, then I'm usually more on task with that because there's so much stuff coming out. I need to make the videos at a fast rate to keep up with everything. But when there's a lull like there is now, I just get lazy basically. But I'm vowing to be better at not waiting so long after award shows, because in the past I've waited sometimes as long as 6 months before talking about an award show's winners and what I thought of them. Thankfully, it's only been 1 month since the Emmys, so I'm not too late this time. But like I've done with all my other award show winner videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the winners on my laptop here, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on the winners, what I like and don't like, and on the ceremony itself. So let's dive right in. Now, since there are over 100 categories at the Emmys, I'm obviously not going to cover every single one. Mainly I'm going to cover the major categories that are usually presented on the main telecast of the Emmy Awards. Some are presented on the creative arts side, like the guest acting categories, but basically I'm going to be revealing the winners for all the major writing, acting, directing, and series categories. So here we go. Here are the winners for the 69th Emmy Awards. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, Alec Baldwin, Saturday Night Live. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, Kate McKinnon, Saturday Night Live. Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, Donald Glover, Atlanta. Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Veep. Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, Dave Chappelle, Saturday Night Live. Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series, Melissa McCarthy, Saturday Night Live. Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series, Aziz Ansari and Lena Waithe, Master of None, Thanksgiving. Outstanding Directing for a Comedy Series, Donald Glover, Atlanta, Ban. Outstanding Comedy Series, Veep. Outstanding Writing for a Variety Series, Kevin Avery, Tim Carvell, Josh Gondelman, Dan Gerwich, Jeff Haggerty, Jeff Moore, John Oliver, Scott Sherman, Will Tracy, Jill Twiss, and Julie Weiner. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Outstanding Directing for a Variety Series, Don Roy King, Saturday Night Live, host Jimmy Fallon. Outstanding Variety Sketch Series, Saturday Night Live. Outstanding Variety Talk Series, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Outstanding Host for a Reality or Reality Competition Program, RuPaul Charles, RuPaul's Drag Race. Outstanding Reality Competition Program, The Voice. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie, Alexander Skarsgård, Big Little Lies. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, Laura Dern, Big Little Lies. Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or Movie, Riz Ahmed, The Night Of. Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, Nicole Kidman, Big Little Lies. Outstanding Writing for a Limited Series or Movie, Charlie Brooker, Black Mirror, San Junipero. Outstanding Directing for a Limited Series or Movie, Jean-Marc Vallée, Big Little Lies. Outstanding Limited Series, Big Little Lies. Outstanding Television Movie, Black Mirror, San Junipero. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, John Lithgow, The Crown. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, Anne Dowd, The Handmaid's Tale. Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, Sterling K. Brown, This Is Us. Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, Elizabeth Moss, The Handmaid's Tale. Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series, Gerald McRaney, This Is Us. Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series, Alexis Bledel, The Handmaid's Tale. Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series, Bruce Miller, The Handmaid's Tale, Offred. Outstanding Directing for a Drama Series, Reed Morano, The Handmaid's Tale, Offred. Outstanding Drama Series, The Handmaid's Tale. Alright, and those are the winners of the major categories for the 69th Emmy Awards. So, what do I think? I'd say it's a very solid list of winners overall. Now, I haven't seen every single one of these programs, because admittedly I'm more focused on film than television, and there's so much television out there these days, there's no way anyone can possibly watch everything that was up for awards here. But from what I have seen, it's a pretty solid list overall. I think Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon are very well deserved their wins. They've been absolutely hilarious. Even though Alec Baldwin is not a regular cast member of Saturday Night Live, the reason why he was put in the supporting actor category was that he appeared in more than half of the episodes from Saturday Night Live's last season. And Emmy rules state that if you appear in more than 50% of a show's season, you are pretty much a recurring or full-time cast member rather than a guest, even if you're not a main part of the show. Because in the past, actors who did like season-long arcs on a show could still win under the guest acting categories, but I guess out of protest or complaints or I don't know, but I guess the Emmys decided that it wasn't fair for actors who only made a few appearances rather than actors who made like a whole season-long appearance to have to compete against each other in that category. So, but whether he was in a supporting or whether he was in a guest category under the old system, he would have still been well deserving of this win because his performance as Donald Trump is very hilarious. And Kate McKinnon, she's had an absolutely stellar year, of course, as Hillary Clinton, which she's well known for, and she's quite hilarious there, but she's also hilarious as other people like Kellyanne Conway and just some of her fictional characters on the show. It's a shame that she's so funny on Saturday Night Live that whenever she does a movie, she often is one of the worst things about that movie, whether it be Masterminds or Rough Night. Just absolutely awful. But of course, movies and TV, not exactly the same thing, but I mean, she's so hilarious, I just want to see her be successful in everything she does, including movies. Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. I have not seen Atlanta yet, unfortunately, but I hear Donald Glover is excellent. And I did like his speech. I'll talk about his speech when I get to my top 5 favorite speeches of the night. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep. Pretty much no surprise there. Everyone expected her to win. And this is the 6th year in a row that she's won, and she's set a whole new record. Not only has she won the most lead actress in the comedy Emmys in a row, but she's also won the most Emmys for playing the same character, I believe. Like last year she was tied with people like Candice Bergen for Murphy Brown and Don Knotts for The Andy Griffith Show, but now she's broken their records. And I believe she also tied the record of the most ever primetime Emmys for acting with Cloris Leachman. They both won 8 primetime Emmys for acting, but Cloris Leachman actually is a little ahead of Julia Louis-Dreyfus because Cloris Leachman also has 1 daytime Emmy for acting in addition to 8 primetime Emmys. So overall, Cloris Leachman has won 9 Emmys if you count both primetime and daytime for acting. So Julia Louis-Dreyfus has to win 1 more Emmy to completely match Cloris Leachman's overall record, and she very well could do that next year when Veep airs its final season. Although personally I would have liked to have seen Tracy Ellis Ross win for Blackish. Same thing with Anthony Anderson for lead actor, because whenever I see Blackish, it's always a very funny show, and they've finally been starting to get some awards recognition, because Tracy Ellis Ross won the Golden Globe earlier this year. So who knows, maybe in the future they'll both get a shot to win the Emmy, especially after Julia Louis-Dreyfus can't compete with Veep anymore. For Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, unfortunately I did not see Dave Chappelle's episode, although I heard he was pretty hilarious. I assumed either Tom Hanks or Hugh Laurie would win, because Tom Hanks gave a very memorable performance when he hosted Saturday Night Live last year, particularly with his character David S. Pumpkins, which kind of became something of a viral sensation. And Hugh Laurie, many people were actually thinking he would win because he was considered long overdue, because he never won an Emmy for House. He didn't win an Emmy for his performance in the miniseries The Night Manager, and I know so many people just thought he might just win out of being overdue, but I guess not. Personally, I would have liked to have seen Tom Hanks win, but that's just me. For Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series, I don't think it's any surprise to see Melissa McCarthy win this. She was hilarious, especially as former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Of course, at the time he was still the White House Press Secretary, but he's not anymore. For Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series, this was quite a historic win, because while Aziz Ansari won this category last year with Alan Yang, this year he has a different co-winner, Lena Waithe. And Lena Waithe is actually the very first African-American woman to win an Emmy for writing for a comedy series. So congratulations to her for such a historic achievement. And I'll talk more about her speech when we get to my top 5 speeches, because she gave a very incredible speech. For Outstanding Directing for a Comedy Series, another history-making winner here, Donald Glover became the very first African-American male or female to win a Directing for a Comedy Series Emmy. So congratulations to him. And Outstanding Comedy Series, Veep, no surprise there, because it's just been killing it at the Emmys for the past few years. I probably would have voted for Blackish if I were an Emmy voter, but that's just me. For Outstanding Writing for a Variety Series, I bet this was a tough call for a lot of voters, because all these shows, at least what I've seen of them on YouTube and things like that, have some incredible writing, so pretty much any one of them could have easily deserved the honor. But the team from Last Week Tonight with John Oliver won, and that seems like a very solid choice. Outstanding Directing for a Variety Series, Saturday Night Live almost always wins this award, and I didn't see this particular episode hosted by Jimmy Fallon, but I'm guessing it was pretty good. For Outstanding Variety Sketch Series, very glad to see Saturday Night Live win. Usually whenever we have an election cycle, Saturday Night Live is always on fire, and they certainly were with this past election. And I believe this was the very first time since 1993 when that Saturday Night Live won a variety series category. Because it's only been a few years that the Emmys have had 2 variety series categories, one for sketch, one for talk. In the past, they just had one variety series category with everything all lumped together in one group. I'm just glad it beat out Billy on the Street, because as I've said in my other Emmy-related videos, I cannot stand that show. I think Billy Eichner is very annoying. The way he hosts it, I think what he does is harassment. The way he just goes up to random people and yells in their face. I mean, hey, if you find that endearing, more power to you, but I wouldn't want someone just jumping in my face and randomly saying something and holding out a microphone expecting me to respond. For Outstanding Variety Talk Series, no surprise to see Last Week Tonight with John Oliver win. Very well deserving for the most part, although I guess with me, I would have by a hair picked Jimmy Kimmel Live if it were me voting. Not that I don't like John Oliver, I think he's fantastic, but Jimmy Kimmel was certainly, I think, on fire this year in many ways. Jimmy Kimmel is no stranger to openly talking about things in the news, whether it be politics or society at large. He's very open and honest with how he feels, and Jimmy Kimmel has been in the news a lot this year with his own family life and how it relates to what's going on in this country, namely that his infant son was born with a serious heart condition, and that factored a lot into the big debate about Obamacare and whether or not it should be eliminated by Congress, because Donald Trump obviously wants to eliminate Obamacare and replace it with what many are calling Trump Care, and Jimmy Kimmel very passionately defended Obamacare and how it would help families like him who have a child with a serious medical condition. So it's, I guess, raising awareness through his own personal family situation really made me appreciate Jimmy Kimmel Live this year probably more than any other year, which is why I would give it the very, very slight edge over Last Week Tonight with John Oliver this year. For Outstanding Host for a Reality or Reality Competition Program, RuPaul Charles actually won this category last year as well. So, and admittedly I don't really watch any of these shows, so I'm not going to comment on who I think is the most deserving to win. For Outstanding Reality Competition Program, this is The Voice's, I think, I know it's their third year in a row since 2015, but I know they've won a few other times. I think they won in 2013 as well, so might be their fourth win overall. And, I don't watch The Voice frequently, but I watch it on TV once in a while if someone else is watching it, or I watch clips on YouTube, and I haven't really seen the other shows, so I can't really compare it to anything. For Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie, Alexander Skarsgård was really good in Big Little Lies. He did a very good job of pulling off the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde aspect of his character, being the nice, loving, doting father and husband in public, and then being the monstrous, abusive husband in private. I liked how he did a very good job of switching back and forth between the two sides. But personally, I would have given it to Alfred Molina for Feud, Betty and Joan. I thought he did a fantastic job in his portrayal of real-life director Robert Aldrich, and how he helped contribute to the rivalry between Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, while at the same time struggling to prove himself as a director in the eyes of Hollywood. For Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, Laura Dern was really fantastic in Big Little Lies, but I personally would have given it to Shailene Woodley, because Shailene Woodley's character, in my opinion, goes through more development. We see more sides of her. There's more nuance to her performance because she plays one of the bigger parts of the story, but that's just my opinion. But it's interesting, though, having the two of them face off against each other here, because Laura Dern and Shailene Woodley previously played a mother and daughter in The Fault in Our Stars, and in Big Little Lies, now they're playing rival moms who are in a feud with each other. So it's interesting to see them go from playing a mother and daughter to playing rival moms. So, for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or Movie, sadly I still have not had the chance to see The Night Of. I've been meaning to watch that on HBO Go. I discovered I can see HBO stuff even if I don't have the main channel. But I've heard nothing but fantastic things about it. But this is another historic win here, as Riz Ahmed became the first male actor of South Asian descent to win an Emmy. He's a British actor of Pakistani descent. But I have seen Riz Ahmed in a lot of other things, namely movies like Nightcrawler and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. And he's definitely one of the best actors working in Hollywood right now of all the young rising talents. So I definitely can't wait to see him in other projects that he does. For Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, talk about a stacked category where you had 4 Oscar winners, Nicole Kidman, Jessica Lange, Susan Sarandon, Reese Witherspoon, and 1 Oscar nominee, Felicity Huffman, and maybe a potential future Oscar nominee in Carrie Coon. But Nicole Kidman, I do think, was the rightful winner here. It was very tough for me choosing between her and her co-star Reese Witherspoon, but I think Kidman rightfully won because out of all the characters in Big Little Lies, it's her character, Celeste, that has to go through the most significant development. She plays an abused wife who's struggling with whether or not she should try to leave her marriage because one minute she'll be afraid of her life, the next minute she'll be making excuses. Oh, I have a great life, I don't want to ruin my kids' lives, etc. So we get to see her go through all the motions of being a wife who's a victim of domestic violence and how that affects her. And it's a very powerful, nuanced, and subtle performance because she doesn't necessarily go for overacting or scenery chewing. She keeps it very controlled, and we're very much invested in Celeste from beginning to end until we see what the final outcome of her story is. And outstanding writing for a limited series or movie. I did not see Black Mirror, San Junipero, but people I know who've seen Black Mirror, of all the episodes, they worship that show. So based on what I've personally seen, I would have picked Big Little Lies. For outstanding directing for a limited series or movie, and Big Little Lies, very deserving winner. Same thing with outstanding limited series itself, Big Little Lies. For outstanding television movie, admittedly the only one of these I saw was The Wizard of Lies, where Robert De Niro plays Bernie Madoff. So I'm not really going to comment too much about that. For outstanding supporting actor in a drama series, John Lithgow, very well-deserved winner. He was fantastic as Winston Churchill, completely disappeared under the makeup and does a very good job pulling off the thick British accent Winston Churchill was famous for. And then, of course, we may see more Winston Churchill this year on the film side because Gary Oldman has been getting lots of buzz and acclaim left and right for his portrayal of Winston Churchill in the film Darkest Hour. At this point, many think that Oldman is pretty much unbeatable to win the Oscar for Best Actor, but of course there's still several months to go, so we'll see what ultimately happens there. But needless to say, it looks like Winston Churchill is one of those parts where if you nail it, you're going to get an award. For outstanding supporting actress in a drama series, admittedly this was a winner no one saw coming because while Anne Dowd's performance in The Handmaid's Tale was fantastic, she hadn't been getting the same kind of ooh, she's going to win buzz as people like Millie Bobby Brown, Chrissy Metz, and Tandy Newton. But if you watch The Handmaid's Tale, Anne Dowd is just, she's fantastic from beginning to end. And she does a fantastic job at playing one of those characters who you just absolutely hate with every single fiber of your being. I mean, the woman she plays, named Aunt Lydia, is just one of those mean, vicious, evil, loathsome characters who just do not have any ounce of goodness in them whatsoever. The best characters I can compare her to would be, and I'm going to use film here to reference them because they're the only other characters I can think of that have zero redeeming qualities to them whatsoever, are Amon Gerda, that's Ray Fiennes' character from Schindler's List, and Edwin Epps, Michael Fassbender's character from 12 Years a Slave. She's basically the female equivalent of those two characters put together. For outstanding lead actor in a drama series, Sterling K. Brown was absolutely fantastic, so I have no fault with him winning here. For outstanding lead actress in a drama series, it's quite a tough call between Claire Foy for The Crown and Elizabeth Moss for The Handmaid's Tale. But I am glad Elizabeth Moss won, and not just because she was overdue for a win after losing so many other Emmys for Mad Men and for Top of the Lake, but she made you invested in the character of Offred from beginning to end, especially in scenes where she doesn't speak, but rather we hear her thoughts through a voiceover monologue, or where it's just the camera stuck on her face, and all we have to do is read her facial expressions. And she does a very good, and she's fantastic in that, and I can't wait to see what she does with the character in season 2 of The Handmaid's Tale when that premieres next year. For Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series, Gerald McRaney, very well-deserving winner. Same thing with Alexis Bledel for Guest Actress in a Drama Series for The Handmaid's Tale. For Writing and Directing for a Drama Series, Handmaid's Tale, deserving winners, and same thing with Outstanding Drama Series. Now, of course, in all this, there are some people who are disappointed about how Stranger Things did not walk away with any of the top categories. Now, Stranger Things did win some technical awards, and also a pretty big one, which was casting for a drama series. And usually casting for a drama series often leads to that show winning the drama series honor itself. Same thing with the comedy and limited series casting categories often leads to those programs winning the top honor as well. But there was a split this time. The Handmaid's Tale, I guess, was probably just more relevant and more relatable in the light of the fact that many people fear that Donald Trump's presidency could lead possibly to this kind of society being created. Obviously, most people are going to make sure that never, ever happens. But The Handmaid's Tale brings to light a lot of issues that many people think we've solved, but in reality, we haven't, and we still need to fix. But that doesn't take away from what a good show Stranger Things is. And yes, I finally did watch it. Back in late August, I finally sat down and watched all the episodes over like a 3-day period. I'm not like a binge watcher who watches 8 episodes in one day, because I like to let it flow and take a breather so I can process what I've seen. But I've very much enjoyed what I watched. I can't wait for the next season to drop, actually this Friday, now that I think about it. So those are my thoughts on the winners for the Emmy Awards. For the ceremony itself, now, admittedly, my memory of it isn't as strong as it was in the days after the ceremony, so I'm not going to remember in too much detail about it. I thought it was a fine show. I thought Stephen Colbert did a very good job overall. I thought his opening number was fantastic. I thought his jokes, especially his Donald Trump jokes, were hilarious. I thought he kept the show moving along pretty well. I'd say he was certainly way better than Jimmy Fallon hosting the Golden Globes, and he was better than Kevin Spacey hosting the Tonys, but I wouldn't say he was quite as good as Jimmy Kimmel hosting the Oscars, if you want to compare him to other hosts from this year. But he kept the show moving along at a nice pace. The Emmys don't usually go that much over long. It pretty much ended right on time this year. And I thought overall he did a nice job. If I had to pick my top 5 speeches of the night, at number 5 would be Donald Glover, number 4, Ann Dowd, number 3, Sterling K. Brown, number 2, Nicole Kidman, and number 1, Lena Waithe. I thought Donald Glover was both very funny and very touching in his speech. Ann Dowd was very surprised, but I liked how touched she was by her surprise win, and she was very eloquent in her speech. Sterling K. Brown was both humble and delighted, and he did a great job thanking all of his This Is Us cast and crew and all the people who've inspired him. However, I gotta say, shame on you, Emmy Orchestra, for cutting off his speech and cutting to commercial. He wasn't just ranting on and on and on like Bette Midler was when she won for Hello Dolly, where her speech was literally 5 minutes long. He was getting ready to wrap up his speech, and you just cut him off? What the hell? I mean, I know it's common for award shows to play the music and cut people off if they're talking too long, but it seems the Emmys in particular like to do this all the time. I mean, it didn't just happen this year, it's happened in years past. They seem to be the worst out of all the award shows in terms of trying to cut people off with the music. I get not wanting speeches to go on too long, but come on, he was probably just about to start wrapping up his speech. Many people were clearly liking his speech, and I read reports saying that when it cut to commercial break, the crowd in the Emmys booed the orchestra that cut Sterling K. Brown off because they wanted to finish hearing his speech. He did get to finish his speech in the press room, but he should have been able to finish it on the Emmy stage. But what we did see, it was fantastic. Number 2, with Nicole Kidman, she gave a very powerful speech. And like I said before, her character was a character that suffered from domestic violence, and Kidman used her speech as a platform to call awareness to it and to help destigmatize it and provide more help and support for those who are experiencing it in real life. And Lena Waithe, I give her the top honor because given that she was the very first African-American woman to win the Emmy for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series, she used that as well as the fact that she's a lesbian to call for more diversity at award shows. We've certainly come a long way in terms of diversity at award shows, but obviously there needs to be more, and she's actually going to be in one of my most anticipated films of next year, and that's Steven Spielberg's film Ready Player One, and she's going to be playing a major character in that film, so I can't wait to see her in that. So those are my favorite speeches of Emmy night, and those are my thoughts overall on the 69th Emmy Awards. But I want to hear from you guys. Write in the comment section below, what did you think of the Emmy Awards ceremony in terms of the winners? What did you think of Stephen Colbert as the host? And what did you think, and who do you think gave some of the best acceptance speeches? Let me know in the comment section below, and please subscribe to my channel if you've not yet already done so you can get more of my videos as soon as they're uploaded. And I shall be back hopefully soon. Once I get this edited and uploaded, I'll immediately film my next video because I have a few more I need to make. But between now and the end of the Oscars, I'm going to be making a lot more videos, so stay tuned for those, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!